got a D-Stacks beat?
Yeah, I got a D-Stacks beat. Listen to the beat, y'all. Come on, D-Stacks, bring it in. Hey, 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 hey. Woo! Queens on the roll. Ooh, queens on the roll. Powerful queens on the roll. Beautiful queens, queens, queens on the roll. We're moving, we're grooving, we're jamming, we're slamming. Queens on the roll. We're moving, we're grooving, we're jamming, we're slamming. Queens, queens, queens on the roll. She's educated and inspiring everyone that has challenges. Queens, queens, queens on the roll. She's educated and inspiring everyone and having fun. She's queens on a roll. Woo, queens on a roll. Ooh, queen on a roll. Powerful queens on a roll. Beautiful queens on a roll. Come roll with us. Ooh, come roll with us. Come roll with us. Ooh, come roll with us. Ooh, queen on a roll. Ooh, queen on a roll. Ooh, queen.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Queens on the Road podcast. This is Latavia here, and I have Pastor Burrison here with me today, and we're going to talk about the perception of 2022, because you know it's a new year and what we want coming into the new year of 2023. And Happy New Year, everyone. I'm so excited to be in the new year with all of you. Thank you for listening. Hi, Pastor Burrison. How are you?
I am great. I'm great. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this conversation on today. So happy to be with you. Happy New Year to you. Haven't seen you since last year.
I know. It's been a minute, but thank you so much for coming on.
Yes.
And wanting to share this with everyone. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. But before we get into it,
It's time for roll call.
I would like to thank Shantae Usman and Eric Green for their donations to Queens on the Road podcast. I thank y'all so much for supporting the podcast, for supporting me. Thank you so much again, and you guys are amazing. So let's roll!
You got a D-Stacks beat? You got a D-Stacks beat? You got a D-Stacks beat?
So, Pastor Burrison, what is your perception of 2022? What were some of the highs and the lows for you?
Well, 2022 was a great year of really refocusing, regrouping after being in the heart of a pandemic. So it gave us a little time to kind of refocus and to regroup and to prepare for, I believe, this 2023. Of course, there were disappointments. Of course, there were things that we didn't really want to deal with, but I think it was a great learning period for us to refocus and say, hey, I've got to pull myself together and get ready for what's next.
Yeah, I think you're right because, 2020 we had the pandemic and then 2021 we were still in the pandemic. It was a lot of adjusting to something new. Everybody was so fearful, so scared. And now it's like we're getting back to our regularly scheduled programming, right? And so it was daunting to have to go back, right? I know for me, when I had to go back to work in the school building, I'm like, oh boy, I don't want to catch COVID. I don't want to be around COVID. I'd rather be at home. So it was definitely a shift. I do agree 2022 was a learning period. I would say
Yes.
for me, there was a bunch of highs and a bunch of lows, and actually this past couple of years have been tough. You kind of have
Absolutely.
to take the punches and keep on rolling and keep getting back up and keep going.
And it made us tough. It really made us tough because of the punches, as you just mentioned. Those punches made us really stronger than what I think we really believe. I think that some people did buckle under the punch, but there were some of us who were very resilient. That even with the punches, we said, hey, I can't stop. I can't die. I can't give up. I can't submit to whatever's going on in the atmosphere. Matter of fact, I'm an atmosphere changer. That's kind of the stance that I took. I'm not going to allow fear to overtake me and I sit and die in fear. But I'm going to get up from here. And if there is a chance to live, I'm going to do that. And I think that's the message that I kind of got from 2022.
Right. And I agree with you. I think that is the message for 2022, right? Don't let fear control your life. I know a lot of people listening to this show is like, that's easier said than done. It's tough and it is tough. A lot of us were kind of fearful or didn't really want to go outside. I know I missed it, but I also was kind of scared in the back of my mind. Like, I don't want to really gather together with a lot of people because I don't want to catch COVID. So how do you suggest that people overcome that fear and just persevere through all the challenges that life may throw at them?
Well, by being a pastor, my answer to that is, I guess, more on the religious side, or should I say my faith side. And I guess my faith in God and the teachings that I'm under, it kind of gave me that fortitude to press through the fears. Of course, all of us had some type of fear, some type of anxiety for a moment, but the scripture tells us that God has not given us the spirit of fear. That does not mean that we cannot fear or things will not come to make us afraid, but it just means that we shouldn't take on fear to the point where it paralyzes us, where it stops us from moving or from any type of movement. And of course, with the anxieties of social gatherings and different things like that, I just believe that as we took the precautions that needed to be taken, and plus we became more aware of the different herbs and stuff that we had gotten away from because everything was fast food and, let me do things in a hurry. So I think once we came back into the acknowledgement of, okay, you know what? I need to do things a little more healthier. And we grasped that. I think that helped us step out of the fear factor and recognize that we had the ability through God to overcome whatever this disease, virus that was going on.
Right. And I agree. I think you need to have something to believe in, right? Whether it be God, Allah, the universe, Yahweh, something you need to believe in and hold on to that you're going to make it to the next day, right? And what you said is true. I think also just reflecting back on our previous years, COVID really gave us the moment to sit down and really realize what was precious about life, right?
Absolutely.
Getting and meeting together with people and sitting down and actually having conversations with people. Cause I think over the years, we kind of separated from that because we have so much technology. But the previous years before that is like, wow, the simplest things in life is what matters. Sitting across from your loved one, having a conversation, family game night, all that stuff is important. The hustle and the bustle, like, yes, work is important, right? But we forget to stop sometimes and smell the roses and just enjoy the little things. And then 2022 was like reintegration, right? Like, man, we get to experience these things again. We get to enjoy these things again. We get to enjoy our family, and let's not forget, because it can be gone in an instant.
Absolutely. Life is really that vapor, and you can have it here 1 minute and the next minute it's gone. And during the pandemic, like you said, I miss gathering with my family and friends. We used to gather, with some food. We sit down, we ate, we laughed, we talked, we prayed together. And during the pandemic, it seemed like that was taken away from us.
Mm-hmm.
And people who we spent years and days and hours with, now I can't reach out to you. I'm afraid to even deal with you.
Right.
I want to hug you. I want to embrace you because we had that love for each other. But now society and the system tells us we can't come together.
Right.
We can't be with one another.
Right. And I think it just made us realize that as humans, we still enjoy human physical touch. We still
Absolutely.
enjoy that interaction. That is us, right? Without that, we really, really miss it.
Absolutely. And there's strength. There's unity when we come together. There's energy that happens when we really come together with one accord. I'm not talking about fighting and things like that. Well, there's even an energy when we come together to fight.
Right. It could be a spirited discussion.
Absolutely. So I believe also that was a trick of the enemy to even divide us, to overtake us.
Right.
Because people that we would come together when different issues and situations came up, and we came together with one mind and one spirit, and we prayed on that thing, things happened. And so the enemy didn't like that.
Right.
So let me separate them. Let me divide them. And how I've come to that conclusion is because during the pandemic, all I did was I watched a lot of the animal channels and watched how the different animals, more so the lions, would hunt the wildebeest or whatever prey they were after. What they would do, these animals ran together and they moved together. But if one animal got away from the group, that's who the lion would target in order to overtake and kill them. And I watched that with the animal kingdom. I said, how much different is that with the human life? The enemy separates us so that he could overtake us. And look at what happened during the pandemic. We were separated from one another. Your loved one went into the hospital. Nobody could go. So a lot of people died alone.
Right.
And that's unheard of in our community. Even if you mad at somebody, or if there's a family rivalry going on, if somebody gets sick or somebody gets into a situation, everybody comes out of the woodwork. They are there to support, to pray, or whatever, to nurse that person back to health. And we've seen it many times. Our loved ones get sick. Everybody's at the hospital around that bed praying until something happened. They got up, they got better, they came home. But we didn't see that during this pandemic, which really hurt us to a certain extent.
It did, but talking about different perspectives now, right? COVID also allowed us to sit down and really look deep within inside ourselves and self-reflect about things we wanted to do when the isolation was over. And now more and more people are motivated to go do those things, right? Because the time was taken away. So it's like, now I realize because time is short. Let me get it together. Let me go accomplish these goals or do things that I've never done before because I've always wanted to do it. And I don't want to be in this situation again where I've had woulda, shoulda, couldas or regrets, right? So
Right.
it also gave us the time to self-reflect and say, man, what do we really want out of life? What are my goals? What is my vision? Right? And now that we're out, a lot of us are going to accomplish it because a lot of us have started our own businesses now. So there is good and bad with
Oh,
everything.
yes, absolutely.
And some people took that time to just love on themselves and love on their loved ones.
Great. If you're using that time for that, and yes, a lot of people have done that. Myself as well have done that, looking at things differently now. And now, even for 2023, there's some things that I kind of sat on that now I realize, hey, you don't know how much time you really have.
You're right.
So now you have to get up, you have to begin to move forward. And I like to say this statement, even at church, God is in movement. As long as you're moving, things come together. All things begin to work together for your good.
Right.
Things may not work out, but it comes together for good because when things don't work out, it also teaches you a lesson on how to now recreate.
Right. There was a quote by one of my favorite actresses. It was Tamara Mallory from Sister Sister. She says, rejection is God's protection, right? So
Yeah.
every time you think you're getting rejected, you think it's a setback. Right? But sometimes it could be a setback because God, the universe, whoever you believe in, again, believes that, hey, there's something greater for you. But you gotta work to do with inside yourself so that I can elevate you to that next step. And I always tell people, he can open doors for you, but you gotta do the work to make sure you're ready to walk through that door when you get there. That's one of the lessons I learned in 2022 is you have to be intentional with your actions, right?
Yes.
You have to really put them out there because doors can open for you, but you have to be intentional about going to get it and making sure you're there to receive it as well.
Right.
And in a space to receive it, right? A lot of the times we think, oh, the door opened, I'm going to walk right in. But are you ready for the task at hand? Do you have the skills yet to be ready for that? Or sometimes when the door closes, man, I really wanted that, but I guess it's not for me, so I'm gonna stop going after it. No, maybe it just wasn't your time. Everything has a time and everything has a season. It just wasn't your time. Doesn't mean that that's not what you should be going after or what you need to go after. It just wasn't your time to go get it. So don't give up, right? Even if that door closes, don't give up. The reward is going to be that much sweeter because you had to work hard to get it. And that's what I've been looking at over the past couple of years, even in 2022. It was hard, right? But 2023 is going to be that season of all that hard work we put in. We're going to get
coming.
the reward.
Yes. And another perception is some things and some people were moved out of the way so that you can actually get in order to perform your skill.
And that's not necessarily always a bad thing. People look
Right.
at it like, I lost friends, I lost family. No, I like to say sometimes you grow apart from people. You know, we don't stay the same. If we stayed the same, the world would be boring, right? If we didn't evolve and we didn't change and we didn't adapt, and I think that's what's so great about human beings. We can adapt, right? It's easier for some than for others, but we can adapt.
And you have to realize, just like we see spaceships are no good without the rocket, but the rocket does not go into outer space. At a certain point, that rocket drops off so that you can go to your next place and your next season. So it's just like friends and family. Sometimes they are just there to help boost you to that position where you can really soar, but they can't soar with you.
Right. I always say it's quality over quantity, right?
Absolutely.
So a lot of people think like I have to have a lot of people around me. But who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they helping you elevate, right? Because that's what people are supposed to do. Help you elevate, help you become the person you want to be, or help you in your endeavors, right?
Correct.
So it's quality over quantity. Do you have those good friends that's going to tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear? Because sometimes what you need to hear may not be what you want to hear.
Absolutely.
Right?
Those friends need to know you as well, that they would know how to express truth to you.
Exactly.
because sometimes truth can't be raw,
Right.
but that comes with the development of our friendship as well. Can I really say that? Or do I need to look within myself on the tone of how I say what I need to say to you so that you can receive it and better yourself and not make me mad?
Right. To be honest, that's like one of the things I learned about myself is that I can give you the raw, honest truth, right? But sometimes my delivery may not always be correct, right? It may be too harsh and not palatable for people to listen to. And I think that's one of the lessons I learned in 2022.
That's a great lesson. And a lot of people need to learn that lesson because we can be raw thinking that we are right and you may be right. And that even brings me to a story in the Bible where David had sinned with Bathsheba. And God gave it to the prophet to let him know that he had sinned. But he could not walk into the palace of the king and say, hey, king, you sinned. You're a dirty dog. He couldn't do that. Or the king had the authority to cut his head off.
Right.
And that's what happens with us a lot of times. We feel that we have truth and we go and we share it raw and then we get cut. That person cut us with their tongue, give us a good tongue lashing, cuss us out. But when you learn how to, hey, let me talk to you. I want to be honest with you about a certain situation. Then that person could, look within themselves and say, hey, you know what? You're right about that. I didn't really handle that right. Or I didn't do that right. Thank you for being my friend and being honest with me. Now, there are times where you have to be raw.
Yeah, and I think I had to learn to pick and choose when to be raw, right? Because I think what I associated the rawness with is like, well, if I'm sugarcoating it, then I'm not being honest.
So because you have to be diplomatic does not mean that you're sugarcoating.
Right, and that's what I had to learn.
You got a D-Stacks beat?
What do you think you learned in 2022?
I'd say the same. I learned how to turn my fears into a positive energy that would make me not sit back and think that things are going to drop in my lap. But it made me get up now and begin to put some things together to organize some things. Because sometimes we're moving and going, but we come out looking like we're together. But on the inside, everything is in a disarray. So 22 helped me organize some things, first mentally and then physically, and also being better with time, trying not to do everything last minute. Everything is sporadic. I'm getting away from that.
Yeah, because I think it's important to remember everything is still a work in progress, right? You may realize things about yourself, but you still got to work on them.
Absolutely. And so I'm looking at things in life like that more, and 22 helped me do that. Let's be on time. Let's organize. That's key, because where there's order, there's expansion.
Gems were just dropped.
And we don't think about it, but McDonald's, it has expanded because there's order to it. They're not haphazardly making a menu.
That is true.
The menu is the same everywhere. The process is the same everywhere. And when you have that process and everybody's on the same page with the process and not being afraid to drop the people who are not with the process, then your stuff will expand.
Right.
But it's when we drop something over here, it's not in order. You go and the place looks disheveled. You don't want to go there.
You're right. Is that one of the things you're taking with you in 2023?
Absolutely. Organize your mess.
I'll take it. What else are you taking with you in 2023?
Do it. Don't be afraid to do it, and don't be afraid to fail or what we consider failing. Because some things we consider failing is really not failing. It's just a lesson learned.
That's a nice way of looking at it.
And one thing that the Lord gave me was to stop looking at everything as a trial and tribulation and begin to look at your life as an adventure.
Ooh.
Begin to look at things as an adventure as opposed to a trial and, a test and a hardship. You'll enjoy whatever comes your way in the next years to come. If not, you'll be miserable because you'll feel like you didn't accomplish this, you didn't do that. And on an adventure, you experience a little bit of everything, but everything may not be your assignment or your God-given task.
Right. See, that's why perception is everything. Because I tend to, when things get tough, it's a trial, it's tribulation. But if I look at it as an adventure, adventures comes with highs and lows.
Right.
So I think I'm taking that perspective with me in 2023.
Absolutely. Look at it this way. Because you can bake a cake doesn't mean that you are a baker.
That is true.
But you do well when you do bake. But it doesn't mean that you are supposed to now open up a bakery. That's where we miss things. We don't know how to enjoy the moment of something. God allowed me to do well in this moment, but that does not mean that now this is supposed to become a lifetime assignment. I've caused you to experience a little bit of this. I've caused you to experience a little bit of that. You're headed towards what your ultimate destiny in life is, but on the journey, I'm going to allow you to experience these things, but don't get so connected until it now paralyzes you because you feel like I did not accomplish this to the fullest. No, I was only supposed to experience a little bit of this.
I think that's because when you experience the things, it builds a little bit of your character, right? It may shape you in some way. That experience may change your thought process or may change your overall outlook.
True.
So I think you are supposed to experience things, whether that's supposed to be your God-given talent. That experience is going to set you up for something in the future. So that is a good way to look at it. What is your vision for 2023?
One of my goals is I think I want to move.
Ooh, moving. All right. Where to?
I want to move in the Southland, but I just want to make sure that is what I'm supposed to do. But that's my desire. A lot of my ministry work is in the South. So that's one of my goals. I'm really trying to see, where that would take me, where I can go with that.
All right. I think one of my goals is to get my driver's license. And I actually want to go back to school for my PhD. So those are my goals for 2023.
You got a D-stack speed. D-stack speed. D-stack speed.
So we're at the end of our episode, and usually at the end of my episode, I like to ask my guests, what is one quote that you live by? It is time for the quotes of the episode. So, Pastor Burrison, what is one quote that you live by?
All things are working together, even though they may not work out.
Ooh, that is deep. Okay.
Yes, everything is working together for my good, even though it may not work out. And I think that we lose it because we have a lot of times where things don't work out. And so we think that, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have. No, it didn't work out, but it's still working together to help you get to where you're going to be.
Yeah, and I think that sums up this whole episode because we were talking about previous years, and 2020 and 2021 didn't work out, I would say, for just about anybody, right? But it all came together in 2022 and it gave us some good things. And 2023 is going to give us some even more good things because we did all the hard work in 2022. So we just got to keep working at it.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. This was a great conversation.
Yes.
We definitely have to do it again. And guys, if you would like to donate to Queens on the Road podcast, I have a Patreon account. There's 4 tiers up there for you to choose from. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, sharing, subscribing. Please continue to run my numbers up. Again, thank you, Pastor Burrison.
Thank you.
I greatly appreciate it. And we are rolling out. See you guys next week. Bye.